Hi guys, and welcome to this video. This is Emma here, and I am going to talk to you today about acting rather than reacting to situations in life. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to recognize it and how to deal with it, how to change, how to transform your reactions into the ability to consciously recognize the situation, not identify with it, and respond from a more conscious, more neutral place, so that you can get a positive result even out of situations that may seem negative. And I think this is really important right now at the present time, because we're in the middle of the coronavirus situation, and it's bringing up a lot of people's fears. It's really stirring things up, and people react out of fear. It can happen in other times as well. And what it is when you're reacting, what you're expressing is your fear, your own insecurity. You're acting out of fear, and it kind of comes in a very kind of unconscious way. So say if someone says something to you, like say for example, someone comes up to you and says you're wearing a blue jumper, and someone says, "I ate your orange jumper. It's so disgusting. Oh, it's horrible." You're gonna think, "My God, that person is crazy. And you're not going to get upset by that. However, if you actually have beliefs, if you understand and you actually believe what the person is saying, that's when you're going to get reactive and get defensive. And that's when things can really get out of control. Whereas if the person you're not identifying with, you can just say, right, okay, dude, whatever, obviously crazy, and keep on your way. So when you're reacting, rather than what we often do is we often project that on the other person. It's the other person's fault. It's the other situation. It's making me do this. And then what we're doing is we're not taking responsibility for things. We're not responsibility. It's the ability to respond. When we're in that kind of blame projection place, we're unable to respond to situations in a conscious way. We're not responsible. We're just projecting it all out on other people. So the thing to do in this situation, when you kind of you might recognize that you've reacted to situations in the past, and this is the first step. You can recognize the feelings that are coming up when these situations arise. So recognize them. It's not about pushing them down. It's not about saying, recognize the fear that's there and allow them. You've got to allow them. You've got to look at them in order to work with them. So it's not a case of like putting a band-aid over it, pretending it's not there. Okay, so this is bringing up fear for me. And you can work with someone else or just look at it yourself. And so, for example, if somebody says something to you and it makes you feel devalued, you can say, it's that person's fault. They're disrespecting me. Or you can own that and say, right, so I obviously have some kind of belief in myself that I can be devalued by someone else, and look at that belief, look at how you change it. So how you can change it, because the other person doesn't need to have any impact on you and what you believe unless you buy into their belief. And then you become you're kind of buying into whatever their belief, which may have nothing to do with you. So, and the way to recognize if you kind of come from that neutral place, you can be totally dispassionate about it. You can have no emotional reaction, and you can respond accordingly. So rather than getting caught in the reaction, you can use this understanding to break the pattern, break the neutral. So kind of come to this neutral place. Recognize, and also you can do a little bit digging after the situation to kind of see what those beliefs are. So what would I need to believe is true? You can ask yourself these kind of questions. What would I need to believe is true about myself and about life in order to have responded this way, in order to have reacted this way? And really go digging deep. Or you can also find someone to help you kind of get to those beliefs. This is what I do when I work with my clients. I help them to find out what the underlying beliefs are, because you can't have a reaction, you can't have an emotional response without having a belief about it first. The beliefs are the foundation piece. So the beliefs, they create the emotions create the thoughts, and the thoughts create your behavior. So at the bottom, you have this belief, and quite often what I notice with people, their beliefs are, they tend to be something like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, I can't do what I want to do. You know, there are some very kind of key beliefs, and when you start to transform your perspective of these situations, these triggers, rather than getting triggered by them, you can actually use the triggers. When I was doing a 12-step program before, they had this little booklet about how to use triggers as a resource to transform yourself. And I think that's really true. So don't beat yourself up if you've noticed that you've reacted to a situation. You can say, right, that's interesting. You can become neutral after the event and say, right, that was interesting. I noticed I had a bit of a reaction there. So there's obviously something to look at here. Remember when you've got the finger pointed at other people, someone else, they did this to me, your 4 fingers are pointing back on you. There's something for you to look at in yourself. And if you do the work, you can totally transform that. So the next time you can listen neutrally, and you can choose to have a different response. If you find that you keep reacting in the same way, it just means that you haven't got to the bottom of the belief. So a little more digging is necessary. So if you're consciously recognizing that you don't need to react that way, do a little bit of digging is kind of more is what is needed, so you can learn how to respond and learn to react and kind of come to a neutral place. So I'm going to show you some little tools. There's a really quick one that you can do. It's Kundalini yoga, little meditation, and it's really quick. So after you find yourself kind of reacting to something, you can just close your eyes and just notice which one of your nostrils is dominant. So you can use your hand. At the moment, I can feel my right nostril is dominant. So every couple of hours, it will change. It will either be the right nostril dominant, and then it will change to the left nostril. So you can just tune in and notice which one. And then you can consciously just change it to the other nostril. So just consciously continue breathing deeply, breathing through the nose, and just consciously change. And doing this, as simple as it seems, it can totally change your mental state. So when you're breathing through the right nostril, it's a bit more activating. It's kind of bringing in that sun energy. And the left nostril is more kind of the calming, soothing, receptive energy. So this really simple thing that you can do, after you've recognized that you've been aggrieved that something is bothering you, and it can help you before you do this digging work to determine what is causing this reaction in you, so that you can come to a more neutral place and really start owning your responses rather than reacting to life. You can come from that neutral Zen space and act, not react to situations. And that requires you taking full responsibility for your actions. Simple, but it takes a little bit of shining the light of consciousness on there. So this is really important work, and this means that when you start transforming these triggers, you can actually, and this is a really beautiful thing, you can start, rather than being resentful, you can start actually feeling grateful that situations have happened. Like I had someone recently who triggered me a lot, and while I don't need to see this person again, I really recognize how much this person has helped me to grow, because I recognize that, I definitely had a reaction to some of the things that went on that really brought my awareness to some deeply seated feelings about myself, my ability to be devalued, disrespected, and really helped me to, raise my own self-esteem through working through this. So you can really use these triggers as a resource to grow yourself. And then you get to this place where you're like, you can actually be grateful. You're like, wow, that was difficult, but I would not change it, because I grew so much, I learned so much, and now I'm much better for having gone through that period. The alternative is to just build up more and more resentment all the time, and like to deepen in your reaction, which is what a lot of people choose to do. But that also is a choice too. So it's always a choice, and you can always change it. Just like you change your nostril. It takes 3 minutes, and just practice that and see how you go. Will totally shift your mental state, or it certainly can. So if you need extra help, if you're finding yourself reacting to situations in your life, and you're looking for extra assistance and guidance to get to the bottom of your beliefs, to change them, to release them, so that you can step into a more authentic version of yourself, do get in touch with me. Drop me a message or DM me below, because this is what I do. I work with people who sabotage themselves, who are ready to transform all of this fear into power, possibility, so that you can become a more authentic version of you, and you can be an example for other people. So you can, rather than reacting to situations and reacting to the fearful situation we have going on, lots of people are out there reacting with fear. You can kind of be the model. You can be stay in your space, stay calm, don't let the fear take you away from your center, and see how that changes your life, because that can have a really powerful effect, not only on you, but on all the people that kind of come into your circle. So I hope this was useful for you. Do get in touch if this resonates. I'm offering free 15-minute calls now for people who are feeling they are triggered by situations in life and are ready to use this opportunity as a way to transform their fear into possibility, so they can step into 2021 and the rest of 2020 more empowered, more aligned, and ready for action rather than reaction. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Lots of love and light.